No cameras, no confessional couches, only the sound of heels against cold tile and the crushing weight of 12 years of deception bearing down on every single person in the room. It was the last day of testimony. The courtroom was full, reporters standing shoulder to shoulder, true believers of the show filling the hall outside, waiting for a verdict that had nothing to do with reality television and everything to do with justice. Christine occupied the plaintiff's table, jaw clenched, hands cradling a leather-bound binder. Not the blue one she had used previously. This one was black, sleek, quiet. Beside her, Janelle gazed straight ahead, unreadable but not transparent. Today, she was not hiding behind someone. She was standing beside the woman who would not be forgotten. On the opposite side of the courtroom, Cody Brown hissed angrily to his lawyer. His hair was pulled back tighter than normal. His smile was erased. And Robyn? She sat 3 feet back from him, face white, lips tight, eyes red. Not from crying, but from fatigue. The kind of fatigue you can't stage. The judge appeared. Court will now come back to order in the case of Brown versus Brown. He pushed his glasses up his nose, looked around the room, and then cleared his throat. Today we hear the financial restitution claims. Ms. Christine Brown, Ms. Janelle Brown, you may proceed. Christine didn't bat an eye. She stood up, nodded once at the clerk, and opened the binder. One tab, flaming red, glared out from the spine. $4.7 million, diverted, disguised, denied. The room lurched. Cody's tapping fingers ceased. Robyn appeared to be about to vomit, and Christine's tone, low, even, unflappable. Your Honor, she began, today we will show the court how over $4.7 million was siphoned, shielded, and stolen over the last 9 years, all under the name of family. She slid the first document to the clerk. A timeline, color-coded, annotated, every year from 2014 to 2023 highlighted in red, blue, and gray. This, she indicated, is the path of every family dollar Cody said he controlled, and how it gradually went away. The judge gave her a skeptical look. Is this substantiated? Christine nodded. Each line has a corresponding bank statement signed by a former IRS auditor. There were murmurs, but not from the audience, from Robyn, urgently whispering in her lawyer's ear. Cody folded his arms. The judge scanned the timeline once more. Start with 2014. Christine's hands didn't tremble. Janelle knelt down and opened her bag. Inside, she extracted a USB drive that read, Recording A The Shift. She gave it to the court technician. Play the beginning 2 minutes, Janelle instructed. Her tone remained flat, but the authority was unmistakable. The courtroom speakers came on, static. Then the unmistakable, smug voice of Cody's. If we divert the TLC payment to the LLC, Christine won't even notice. She doesn't ask questions. Janelle, she'll complain, but she'll comply. Robyn's credit can cover the difference. And the courtroom let out a breath, gradually, horrified. In silence, the judge leaned forward. Mr. Brown, is this your voice? Cody remained silent. Christine closed the binder, and the war commenced. The courtroom did not breathe. The recording was silent now, but its echo lingered in the air like a pall of smoke. Cody had not replied to the judge's question. He did not have to. Christine opened the binder once more and pulled out the red tab labeled 2014 to 2016. The judge nodded. Go on. Christine presented the first 3 years of what she referred to as strategic family displacement. She spoke clinically, yet her eyes blazed. The TLC contract was renegotiated in 2014. Rather than individual distributions, the entire proceeds went into a brand new LLC, Brown Legacy Holdings, created in Arizona. She raised a paper with Cody's signature on the LLC creation documents. None of the wives were listed as board members, not even Robyn, but the operating agreement specifies that the exclusive beneficiary of all incoming cash would be a trust account in Robyn's name, naming her clean financial history as the reason. Janelle stood beside her. She spread out a massive spreadsheet, green and orange-colored. Here are the TLC payouts, signed off on by a network legal contact I subpoenaed. She indicated the 2015 column. We were all owed around $114,000 that year. She hesitated. Christine got paid $78,000. I got paid $84,000. Meri got paid $91,000. The remaining $327,000 were missing. She turned the page. But here's where it gets worse. In 2016, a Flagstaff construction company received a payment of $298,500, paid in full for a renovation, to Robyn's second home. The payment came from the same account the TLC check was deposited into. She handed the judge a copy of the invoice. Same routing number, same LLC. The courtroom grew colder. Cody muttered something to his lawyer. Christine caught it. This is a circus. The judge raised her eyes. And you're the leader of the pack. There was a moment of silence. Christine touched the next tab. This one yellow. If it stopped there, perhaps this would be a civil controversy. She pushed a notarized letter across the table. But in 2017, a personal loan was taken out in my name. I did not do it. She indicated the signature line. This is not my hand. But the loan was approved. Since Cody had submitted it on documents he stored in a fireproof safe I never saw. The judge's lips pursed. Forgery? Christine nodded. Janelle whispered something to Christine, who thereafter spoke at a higher volume. Your Honor, with permission from the court, we'd like to present a handwriting expert, referred after we discovered more documents signed under our signatures. The judge waved his hand for the clerk. Approved. We'll break briefly for expert confirmation. Cody leaped to his feet. This is absurd. I did what I needed to do to keep the family together. Christine rose, binder held close. No, she said. You kept us separated so you could construct something we weren't included in. Cody's face flashed with anger, and for the first time in hours, he seemed to be losing himself. The judge banged the gavel once. We'll reconvene in 30 minutes. Robyn was already halfway out the door, phone clutched tight in her hand. Christine sat back down and looked at Janelle. We're not even halfway through, Janelle nodded. But he knows what's coming, because the next tab was labeled Coyote Pass. And that's where it would all go up in flame. 30 minutes later, the courtroom was back in session. But something had changed. The chatter in the corridor had intensified. Forensic evidence whispers spread through the crowd like a shockwave. The media had learned of the forgery accusation, and now every creak of the courtroom door sounded charged with tension. The judge returned, calm but visibly perturbed. We've reviewed the initial findings from the handwriting analyst. The signature used to approve the 2017 loan under Ms. Christine Brown's name does not match her known records. A beat. This court now considers this potential forgery. Investigation pending. Christine didn't flinch. Janelle placed a calming hand on her binder. The judge turned to them. You may proceed with the next section. Christine opened once more to a heavy tab with black and white stripes marked through it, a sign Janelle had designated as Coyote Pass, the unspoken divide. She unfolded a plat map of the Coyote Pass property, meticulously printed, labeled, and highlighted in color-coded outlines. Your Honor, we were assured the land was split 50-50, 5 lots, 1 for each of the adults in the family. She indicated the first aerial photograph. But this is the county's official filing, never revealed to us until last year. The deeds? Only 2 parties listed. She moved forward and placed it in the judge's hand. Kody Brown, Robyn Brown. Not Christine, not Janelle, not Meri. The courtroom fell silent. Hostile silence. Janelle stood. I lived on the land in a trailer. I thought it was mine. I spent my savings on soil tests, electrical, septic permits. She dug into her folder and pulled out each receipt. More than $141,000 in prep work, paid out of my retirement account. I was never reimbursed. I was never informed that my name wasn't on the deed. Robyn's head swiveled to Cody, her eyes wide with something akin to fear or guilt. The judge leaned forward. Was this done with their consent, Mr. Brown? Cody rose to his feet, voice trembling now. I was told by my accountant that consolidation would facilitate refinancing more easily. We intended to redivide the parcels after the construction model started. Janelle spoke, not boisterously, but with enough steel to shut him down. That was 6 years ago. Christine did the same. The only building that ever occurred was for Robyn. No permit for the rest of us. No vote, no meetings. And yet the property was refinanced 3 times by using signatures we never signed. She produced a notarized title affidavit. This was signed in 2020. It states Robyn Brown as sole beneficiary of Parcel A, my own. This signature below mine, not mine. The judge stopped short. Another forgery? Christine nodded. Verified by the same handwriting analyst, it was done to obtain an extension on the mortgage of the land and to transfer the loan under an entity known as Dalton Holdings. The clerk of the court leaned in toward the judge. After a moment, the judge spoke again. Dalton Holdings is not a public record listed in the family trust. Christine responded even keel. Because it's a shell company. Janelle extended her USB. And we have evidence. Cody's face was white as a ghost. Robyn's eyes were now glassy. The technician plugged in the drive. The judge granted playback. A fresh voice crackled in the speakers. Cody's once more, taped in a late-night phone call. It's not stealing, it's safeguarding assets. Janelle won't fight back. She never does. And if Christine questions it, tell her it's for taxes. Robyn's name is purer anyway. A collective gasp rose from the gallery. Kody slumped into his chair. Christine didn't brag. She didn't budge. She simply whispered to Janelle. They heard it. Janelle did not reply. She was fixedly staring ahead. Because the next page in the binder wasn't monetary, it was intimate. And it was with one word, children. No court prepares for what comes when the internal scaffolding of a family falls apart. Not the kind constructed with diagrams and bricks, but the unseen kind, threaded through with love, loyalty, manipulation, and terror. As the courtroom took on the full measure of Kody's Coyote Pass betrayal, Christine opened the binder to the page that made her hands shake most. The tab was yellow, soft-marked children, financial custody, and exploitation. The judge's eyes narrowed. Proceed. Christine's voice shook, not with doubt, but with the weight of truth. Your Honor, we are not here to weaponize our children, but what was done to them, financially, emotionally, legally, needs to be known, because they were used, not loved, not guarded, used. She put a document on the stand, a 2018 signed consent form. This is a document that permitted Kody and Robyn to report jointly taxes with all minor children of the plural family unit, without regard to who was the biological mother. She hesitated. I never viewed this, but my name is signed at the bottom. Another forgery. The judge did not even query. He nodded to the clerk. Verified. Janelle rose. In 2019, Kody filed a dependency credit. He put all 10 of our children, both mine and Christine's, on Robyn's tax filings with the IRS. This entitled them to an estimated $64,000 in benefits and refunds. The judge addressed Kody. Is that correct? Kody's attorney attempted to interrupt. Christine interrupted more loudly. We discovered the corrected filings. We subpoenaed the IRS. It is correct. She flipped to a second page. Tuition. 3 of my children applied for university scholarships. Both were denied or cut in award consideration because our income under the household headed by Kody and Robyn was over federal aid limits. Janelle gagged on the next sentence. 2 of them had to leave. The courtroom iced over again. Christine's hands trembled as she drew out the next page. I have a daughter who juggled 3 jobs because Kody told me he had nothing left after sending Robyn's children to a private charter school. I believed him, but here, she indicated a bank transfer, is evidence of a $32,000 payment for private school, the same month my daughter was turned down for books. Christine blushed, struggling with tears, and I remained quiet. The judge was clearly furious now. These are your biological children, Mr. Brown? Kody's voice broke. Yes, but we had an agreement in the family, Christine burst out. There was no agreement. You gave Robyn everything. The rest of us were told to be grateful for crumbs. Even Robyn glanced over at him now, betrayal seeping into her own eyes. Janelle turned the page. Your Honor, my son's emergency surgery was postponed because our joint insurance card had expired. I didn't realize that Kody changed carriers to a private policy in Robyn's name alone. The court technician displayed a copy of the insurer's email confirmation. Christine added softly, and when I confronted him about it, he said it was a strategic decision to protect the ones who mattered most. The courtroom didn't gasp this time. It simply stared. Because the villain wasn't hiding anymore. He was sitting at the defense table unraveling. And yet, Christine wasn't done. There's one more audio clip, she said. This one's not financial, it's personal. She reached into her bag. A final drive. One she said she almost didn't bring. Your Honor, she said, this one is for the children. Christine grasped the flash drive between her fingers as if it scorched. Smaller than the others. Silver, fragile looking. But every eye in that courtroom fixated on it like it was a detonator. And it was. Because this wasn't another spreadsheet or tax form or forged signature. This was a voice. A truth that no one could pervert. And Christine, finally, was ready to allow it to be spoken. She handed the drive to the technician, who glanced over at the judge for permission. He nodded once. The courtroom fell silent once more, the kind of silence that is almost holy. The screen behind the bench darkened. Then a timestamp appeared. May 12th, 2021, 9:47 p.m. Audio recording, Christine's kitchen. Christine did not glance at the screen. She didn't have to. She lived it. And then Kody's voice boomed throughout the courtroom. She's not going to college, okay? If she can't pay for herself, maybe she needs to take a year and think. Robyn's girls are serious. They respect this family. They know the structure. Christine's always wanted to coddle her kids. Well, now she can learn on her own. Aw, you said we'd divide everything 50-50, Kody. Christine's soft, shocked voice. You said we were all one family. We are. But let's be real, you knew the bargain. Robyn's more in tune with the future. You? You're always emotional. The sound cut off, not because it was finished, because Christine had the technician cut it off there. She gazed at the judge. That was the evening I lost faith in him, but it took me another 2 years to struggle. Janelle intervened now, holding a handful of envelopes. Your Honor, these are rejection letters from college, one from my son, one from Christine's daughter. Both discuss high-income household status. Robyn and Cody filed together as head of household, claiming all dependents, without our permission. She handed the letters over to the clerk. The silence was sharp now, slicing. Cody's lawyer appeared as though he wished to disappear. The judge's grim face swung to the defense table. Mr. Brown, I am officially putting your financial past under court examination. All accounts in your name and Robyn Brown's are to be put on hold for auditing. In addition, a subpoena is to be issued for the entire filing record of Brown Legacy Holdings and Dalton Holdings, LLC. Are we understood? Cody did not utter a word. Robyn did. She rose to her feet slowly. I didn't know she breathed. I didn't know he was taking all of them. I thought it was just me and the girls. Christine leaned toward her, not with anger, but with weary brightness. You never asked, because you liked the answer too much. Robyn sat back down. The judge went on. If there is no objection, the court will move to consider monetary restitution based on fraud, misrepresentation, and emotional damages. The motion to compel repayment is on the table. Christine opened the last tab. It was blue, single word on it, reparations, and the figure underneath undefined, $4,700,000. The blue tab didn't waver as Christine opened it. It was too heavy for that. Behind it weren't just figures, but names, faces, and hijacked futures. It wasn't about vendetta. It wasn't about justice. It was about accountability for each time Cody Brown used trust as a weapon, manipulated money, and commodified family. Christine did not raise her voice. She did not need to. The number you see, Your Honor, $4.7 million, isn't arbitrary. It's the sum total of 12 years of diverted funds, unauthorized loans, tax benefits claimed through deception, tuition fees denied, assets seized, and emotional labor unpaid. She took a breath, steady and calm. We are not seeking punishment. We are demanding balance. She extracted the first document from the pocket. $1.2 million of siphoned TLC profits between 2015 and 2020. Every wife was due a quarterly share under terms of their contracts. Robyn took full deposits via the LLC. Janelle and I took partial transfers. The difference totals $1.2 million. Next page, $380,000 in forged loan approvals. 3 separate loans were taken out using our credentials, one in my name, one in Janelle's, one in both under the guise of property development. None of that money came to us. The trail ends at Dalton Holdings, the owner, Kody Brown. She set the next page flat on the table. The judge's eyes narrowed. It was a check. Written out to Robyn Brown, Family Reimbursement Fund. Amount $167,000. Explain this, the judge instructed. Janelle responded this time. That check was drawn on the Brown Family Medical Reserve account, meant for paying for emergency treatments, therapy, and long-term care for our children. Rather, it was being spent on covering Robyn's legal bills from a custody battle that had nothing to do with our family. None of us knew about it. Cody hid his face in his hands. Christine didn't let up. Following tab, $1.6 million Coyote Pass collateral refinancing. Janelle and I were investors in the Coyote Pass development. When the property was refinanced, our lots were used as security for private loans. Not only were we not informed, but the documents also named Robyn as beneficiary. She produced 2 signed refinance documents. Her name was typed. Her signature was not hers. The judge's face grew dark. And the handwriting expert confirmed both? Christine nodded. Yes, and they were employed to obtain a line of credit. Then Janelle brought out the coup de grace. She handed over a flash drive. This one doesn't hold recordings. It holds a ledger. The courtroom screen flickered to life. It was a spreadsheet laid out with precision. each tab a year, each row a transaction. And next to each suspicious transaction, a name. Robyn. Christine spoke quietly as the information scrolled. 37 suspicious transfers, 6 titled Household Reserve, 12 titled Education Fund Adjustments, 3 titled Emergency Trust, but all paid into the same account. Robyn's name? Total amount? $4,701,488.37. The judge leaned back in his chair. Cody Brown, he said deliberately, you are hereby directed to provide a sworn affidavit explaining each financial decision outlined in these exhibits within the next 72 hours. Cody appeared as though he was about to pass out. The judge wasn't finished, and subject to confirmation, you are hereby ordered to make payment to Ms. Christine Brown and Ms. Janelle Brown in the amount of $4.7 million, allocated as follows: 61% to Ms. Christine, 39% to Ms. Janelle, based on initial investment proportions. A collective gasp from the courtroom audience. Even Christine looked taken aback for a moment. But it was Janelle who spoke first. Your Honor, she replied, voice steady. Does the court also plan to consider the trust where our names were unlawfully taken off? The judge nodded. That's next. Cody slumped in his seat. And Robyn? She was sobbing now, but no one glanced at her. Christine shut the binder, not with force, with finality, because the money was only the start. For a moment, nobody moved. The figure, $4.7 million, still hung there like a verdict. But Christine and Janelle were not so foolish as to rejoice, because the greatest betrayal wasn't in the money, it was in the forms, the signatures, the trusts they were subtly disowned from, and the silence that was to follow. Christine flipped the page to the next display. Tab 6. Trust Amendment, March 2021. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't bold, simply a thin, quiet legal document that most folks wouldn't even look at. But it was the instrument that destroyed 2 decades of trust in one swift stroke. She placed it in front of the judge. This, she stated, is the amendment to our original family estate trust. It was done in the midst of the pandemic. It eliminated Janelle and me as co-beneficiaries and transferred all remaining assets to Robyn Brown and her biological children. Janelle continued, we were never notified. We never signed off. We only realized when my lawyer asked for an asset review during my divorce filing. The judge examined the amendment carefully. These signatures appear to be automated. They are, Christine affirmed, digitally duplicated, without permission. Robyn shifted uncomfortably in her seat, wiping tears from her eyes with a shaking hand. Cody said he had full consent. Christine didn't even glance at her. Did you ever ask? Or did you just take his word for it when it was convenient for you? The judge held up a hand. Let's remain grounded in the facts. He addressed the clerk. Verify signature trails. Get verification of IP addresses if you can. Christine wasn't done. She produced a second trust agreement dated March 3rd, 2021, the day the amendment was executed. Here's the kicker, she spit out now. This is the Robyn Brown Trust, established the same day, seeded with $790,000 taken straight from the sale of a property in Las Vegas owned jointly. We were informed the funds had been reinvested in family dwellings. Janelle interrupted. I never signed that sale agreement. But my name is on it. The court technician displayed a copy of the transfer. The buyer? A holding company affiliated with Robyn's brother. The bank account? Robyn's private trust. Christine moved one additional step forward. I brought one more thing, she said. From a padded file, she produced a handwritten note now encased in plastic. This was in Cody's old personal ledger. It's not admissible, but I think the court needs to see it. The judge accepted it. It said, secure the girl's future. Move fast. Coyote is the long game. Keep it in her name, no distractions, no signature. But it didn't require one. Cody's expression told it all. The judge exhaled a slow breath. We're no longer discussing civil financial wrongdoing. If these records are authenticated, and I believe they will be, we might be looking at criminal fraud. Janelle swung around to Christine, her voice little more than a whisper. "We've got him." Christine nodded. "We have the receipts, the tape, the bank trails." But one more tab in the binder remained. Just one. And it read with a single word, confession. Janelle's expression set, because they both had an idea of what was about to happen. Not figures, not tapes. But a declaration from someone who had remained silent until today. And she already stood outside the courtroom door. The courtroom door creaked open. No applause, no photographers, only footsteps, measured, tentative, and determined. A woman entered. She didn't dress in designer attire or move like someone accustomed to being observed, but everyone recognized her, Meri Brown. For years, she had played the role of the quiet one, the forgotten one, the ghost wife. But now she was the unexpected witness in a case that had already rocked the foundation of the Brown family empire. Christine stood. "Your Honor, with the court's permission, we'd like to introduce a voluntary witness statement, corroborated and notarized, from Meri Brown. She has requested to deliver part of it in person." The judge turned to Meri. "Are you ready to testify truthfully under oath?" Meri nodded. "I am." Christine took a step back, and for the first time in years, Meri stood at the center of the room alone, no longer Cody's shadow. I remained quiet because I thought silence was strength. Meri started. "But now I know silence was complicity, and I won't be complicit anymore." She dipped into her purse and produced a smaller binder, green leather, worn at the edges. "This is my ledger," she said. "The one I began keeping when I discovered Cody's words did not equal his bank statements." She addressed the judge. "When I found out in 2017 that my name had been taken off the family business account, I asked Cody why. He said it was for streamlining purposes. Weeks later, I learned that Robyn had been put on in my place." She flipped the binder open. "These are my emails requesting an explanation. These are his answers. Brief, dismissive, deceptive." Janelle drew closer, shocked. Meri went on. "I didn't speak up because I felt humiliated. I believed if I remained faithful, he'd sooner or later bring me back into the fold. Instead, I became invisible." And then her voice broke just a little. "And when the property tax on Coyote Pass came due, I volunteered to pay half. Cody wouldn't let me. He said it was none of my business, but I didn't realize at the time I'd already been excluded from the deed." Christine whispered under her breath. "He isolated all of us, one by one." The judge took the binder and examined the first page. It was an email from Cody to his financial advisor. "Meri's done. Don't tell her yet, but we're moving her share to Robyn for now. Clean it up later." Dated February 2019. 2 years before Meri even learned she was excluded. Meri wasn't finished. She put a solitary USB drive on the table. "One evening in 2020, I made a recording of a telephone conversation. Not for court, just for me. I had to hear it again in order to believe it." The technician played the file. Cody's low, frigid voice. "Meri's no longer an asset. Robyn is the future. The network approves of her. The brand approves of her. I can no longer keep carrying dead weight simply due to nostalgia." There were no gasps now, only the creeping, dawning horror of a man caught remaking history, his own. Meri glanced at Christine and then at Janelle. "I thought he loved me," she said. "Now I think he loved what I offered him, and when I took it away, he stopped looking at me." The judge snapped the binder shut. "Thanks, Ms. Brown. Your testimony will be entered into the record and considered as evidence in support of the plaintiff's claim." Christine rose to her feet again. "Your Honor, we are finished with the witness phase of our claim." The judge nodded. "Then we will recess until closing arguments." Cody's team was quiet. Robyn gazed at the floor. "And Meri?" She sat with Christine and Janelle, but not as a plaintiff, not as a defendant, but as something stronger. A witness. And just beyond the courtroom door, the media waited. But the true tale wasn't about who shouted the loudest. It was about who finally decided to speak up. The courtroom had changed. The air was thicker. Christine, Janelle, and now Meri had brought a mountain of evidence. Bank statements, forged signatures, fake trusts, and deceit that had lasted more than a decade. The judge had let it all happen. The people, both in the courtroom and outside those courtroom doors, knew they were witnessing the gradual public destruction of the man who had once set himself up as the righteous patriarch of a spiritual kingdom. And now it was the Cody's turn. He stood slowly. He looked thinner somehow, like the weight of every lie was collapsing onto his back in real time. His attorney rose beside him, whispering something urgently, but Cody raised a hand. "No," he muttered, voice hoarse. "I'll speak." The courtroom stilled. He strode to the center of the room, shoulders back, but eyes dancing with something between fury and destruction. His voice, when it came at last, was not for defense, but for desperation. "You want me to say it?" he challenged. "Fine." Christine and Janelle did not stir. Cody's voice broke. "I did divert the TLC money. I did use the LLC to hide income. I did use Coyote Pass in ways not talked about, but I wasn't stealing. I was surviving." He paced once. "You don't know what it's like to juggle 4 keys, 4 households, 4 expectations, bills, emotional storms. I was doing what I had to do to keep it together." The judge arched a brow. "By falsifying documents?" Cody gulped. "No one was supposed to get hurt." Christine spoke at last. "But we did." Janelle concluded. "We lost time, we lost trust, we lost our futures." Meri just stated, "And we lost you." Cody looked at Robyn, eyes imploring. "Tell them." "You know I wasn't trying to hurt anyone." But Robyn didn't look at him. Because even she was starting to realize this wasn't a strategy. It was survival at everyone else's expense. The judge adjusted his glasses. "Mr. Brown, you're not on trial for polygamy. You're not on trial for failing as a husband. You're on trial for fraud, financial misrepresentation, document forgery, and the unlawful use of dependents for personal financial gain." Cody snapped. "They knew what they were getting into. They wanted to be free. They got to be free. Now they want a payoff?" Christine got to her feet, slow and measured. "No," she said. "We want accountability." Janelle continued. "And the truth. You didn't just misrepresent us. You constructed a kingdom on our backs, and when it was done being useful to you, you wiped us off the documents." The judge rapped the gavel once. "Enough. Mr. Brown, your tantrum has been recorded. This court will continue closing arguments tomorrow. Then restitution figures, asset transfers, and possible charges will be decided." Cody slumped into his chair. Christine and Janelle didn't celebrate. There was no victory lap, because this wasn't finished, not yet. Outside, the press packed the courthouse steps. Headlines were already taking shape. Cody admits guilt in court. $4.7 million case nears verdict. Meri Brown breaks silence. Robyn named in secret trust scheme. Sister Wives' financial empire unravels on the stand. But back in there, Janelle leaned over to Christine and whispered, "He's still hiding something, I can tell." Christine remained silent, because the binder wasn't closed, not yet, and the last page was headed, "The Master Account." The following morning, the courtroom was filled to capacity at dawn. Reporters, podcasters, bloggers, even law analysts waited in the aisles, attracted by one question still looming over the proceeding like an electricity crackling thundercloud. Where is the rest of the money? Christine and Janelle had documented $4.7 million in established financial misappropriation, but their stance, their still-grasped binder, it all telegraphed one last surprise, and the courtroom could sense it arriving. The judge entered and directed everyone to take their seats. "Before we go on to formal restitution," he said, "are there any last exhibits?" Christine rose, slowly and gravely. "Yes, Your Honor," she replied. "One more." She flipped open the binder to the final tab. It was red, thick, somewhat worn, and not marked with a date or a name but a phrase, "The Master Account." Christine went on. "During this trial, We have demonstrated the way in which money was diverted, mischaracterized, and concealed. But there was one question nagging at us. Where was it all going? Not only the missing checks, not only the trust transfers, the big money, the investment income, the liquidation sales, the real estate flips. She gave the judge a shiny document, its cover page labeled confidential, acquired through court-ordered subpoena. This is a financial portfolio linked to an offshore bank account in Belize, she said. We subpoenaed the bank via a foreign compliance agreement. The name on the account? She paused, allowing the moment to breathe. KR Investments, held by Kody W. Brown. There was a hush in the room. Janelle intervened. This account reflects an inflow of $5.2 million in 7 years. The deposits are consistent with TLC quarterly payments, land equity dispositions, and LLC rental income. The judge blinked. Is this related to the previously identified LLCS? Yes, Christine affirmed. Brown Legacy Holdings and Dalton Holdings both had funneling arrangements in place through an anonymous Nevada shell company. That company shows up as a business partner on the Belize account. She spread out the transaction records, and each deposit is dated within 2 weeks of family-wide financial decisions. The screen came alive behind the judge, displaying the money trail from TLC to Brown Legacy Holdings to Shell Corp to KR Investments. Christine went on, voice now cutting. Kody always said he was broke, that the market crashed, that the production payments were lagging. But this account refutes that. While we made ends meet, he was constructing a secret cushion. She pulled out one last paper, a copy of an internal bank email from Belize to a masked email address associated with Kody's previous phone number. The subject line was, Account update, available balance as of August 12th, 1.04 million USD. Janelle continued, and that was 3 months following Robyn's application for a small business loan on the grounds of financial hardship. The judge settled back in his chair, shocked. Christine gazed directly in front of her. We borrowed for tuition. We pawned jewelry to repair cars. We rationed groceries while he had more than $1 million stashed offshore. Kody rose at last. He did not deny it. He merely spoke. You don't realize the pressure I was under. But no one nodded. No one empathized. Because the courtroom now knew something altogether different. This was not survival. It was strategy. Christine snapped the binder shut. This is the last exhibit, Your Honor. The judge paused for a long moment before he spoke. The availability of the offshore account and the mechanism whereby it was funded will now be sent to the Arizona District Attorney's Office for criminal consideration. In the meantime, the civil court stands ready to make a formal order regarding restitution and property division. Robyn sobbed quietly. Meri gazed off into space. Janelle grabbed Christine's hand, and this time didn't let go. Because regardless of how many houses he purchased, how many names he removed, or how many daughters he ignored, Cody Brown couldn't erase this conclusion. The judge's robe creaked lightly as he leaned forward, fingers together, eyes moving around the room, not as an emblem of authority, but as a man about to utter a word that would redefine every face in front of him. Following weeks of testimony, online breadcrumbs, confessions, altered documents, and sorrowful discoveries, the gavel hovered ready to drop, not on a case, but on an age of lies covered in family harmony. Court is now in session for final ruling, he stated, his voice low and authoritative. Christine and Janelle stood shoulder to shoulder, the creased binder in front of them on the table, its tabs worn, the cover smeared with the marks of dozens of all-nighters, tears numbering untold and unyielding strength. Across from them, Kody leaned back, a legal pad before him scribbled over with nothing more than gibberish now. Robyn refused to look at him. Meri was impassive. The judge started. Having reviewed with diligence all of the testimony, physical and electronic evidence, witness statements, and audio recordings, this court determines that Mr. Kody W. Brown did knowingly participate in acts of financial dishonesty, including but not limited to forging loan documents, diverting income from contract earnings, illegally stripping parties from trust agreements, and hiding in excess of $1 million in offshore accounts. Kody gazed down. The judge went on. The effect of these acts directly caused demonstrable economic injury suffered by Ms. Christine Brown and Ms. Janelle Brown, and irreparable violation of fiduciary trust. Christine was holding her breath. Thus, this court orders as follows. Monetary restitution. Mr. Cody Brown shall pay a sum of $4,700,000 distributed as follows. $2,867,000 to Ms. Christine Brown, $1,833,000 to Ms. Janelle Brown. This sum shall be remitted within 18 months, starting with a cash transfer of $950,000 immediately from the Offshore Belize account, which will be seized and frozen by the court pending complete audit. Division of property. All Coyote Pass parcels will be reassigned under the court's supervision. Parcels that were already withdrawn from the names of Christine and Janelle are to be restored. Any outstanding ownership by Mr. Brown and Ms. Robyn Brown will be put on hold for further judicial review. Legal penalties and referrals. A complaint will be filed with the Arizona District Attorney's Office for criminal prosecution for financial fraud, forgery, and tax evasion. Secondly, Dalton Holdings LLC and Brown Legacy Holdings are to be closed down and their accounts audited by an independent forensic team. The court murmured, but the judge wasn't finished. He addressed Meri. Although you are not a plaintiff in this case, your testimony disclosed misconduct that impacted your personal and financial status. You are directed to seek independent litigation if you desire to reclaim your share of trust property. Meri nodded slowly. Thank you, Your Honor. The judge regarded his gavel and hesitated, then returned to his gaze. This court has witnessed numerous cases of financial fraud, but few so complicated by family, religion, and betrayal. What was offered here is bigger than theft. It's the systematic destruction of agency in the name of unity. Let this verdict be a record that truth, though hidden in paperwork and suffering, will always resurface. He slammed the gavel down. Bang! The courtroom erupted, cameras flashing, reporters running outside to report the story, and yet, within, time stood still. Cody didn't budge. His gaze was empty. Robyn's crying had ceased. She simply gazed at the floor. The judge rose and left. So did the clerk, the bailiff. But Christine? She swung around to Janelle and smiled at last, not with victory, but relief. It's done, she breathed. No, said Janelle. We did it. Meri stood with them, eyes brimming. We're not just footnotes anymore. The three women walked out together, not bums, not victims, witnesses, warriors, survivors. Outside, headlines were already lighting up. Judge orders Cody Brown to pay $4.7 million in explosive court ruling, Coyote Pass reassigned. After forgery, fraud confirmed in Sister Wives trial. Christine and Janelle deliver stunning legal win. Robyn named in hidden trust. But Christine didn't care. She didn't need a headline. She had her voice back. And the binder? She left it behind on the table when she walked away. Because the truth had already been brought, and this time, it stuck. Weeks passed, and the courtroom fell still. The press had shifted gears to the next scandal. The cameras no longer loitered outside the courthouse. But the reverberations of the trial continued to ripple through the Brown family, the neighborhood, and the millions of people who had seen the so-called Sister Wives drama play out in real time, not as voyeurism, but as a chilling lesson in manipulation, financial domination, and the price of silence. Christine sat in her new house, small, cozy, filled with pictures of her children. There was no binder on the table anymore. Only a pile of college applications her daughter had finally filled out, this time without fear of household income disqualification. She had already deposited the first payment from the Restitution award into a trust fund for her children, not for security, but for freedom. Janelle was back on dry land, not Coyote Pass, but on her own plot now, newly assigned by court decree. Barefoot, she gazed at the ground as the survey crew paced out the site for an actual house. One she owned, one she had planned, one where Cody would never tread. And Meri? She was in New Mexico with her tiny business partners, beginning all over again, but this time on her own terms. No contracts that had been signed by someone else. No LLCS that made no sense to her. No silent bank withdrawals that left her penniless and bewildered. Just her name, her signature, her destiny. And as for Robyn, her funds were frozen. Her reputation, once buffed with goodwill and safeguarded by Kody's story, was now branded with disconnection. She had fallen mute. The network did not renew her spin-off bid, her social media darkened. No one knew whether she still had faith in Kody's frame of the tale, or whether she ever did. And Kody? He was still being investigated. Subpoenas kept coming. His reputation, once built by TV notoriety and spiritual standing, was in shambles. The man who professed to head a family had led only himself astray. No camera crew trailed him now. No producers stood with clipboards. No wives sat on couches waiting to be dismissed or defended. Just Kody. Alone. Christine's phone vibrated. A text from Janelle. Last check cleared, done. Christine smiled. She went to the old cedar box where she stored keepsakes, opened it, and retrieved the courtroom pass, the one from the day the verdict was read. She no longer needed it, but she held on to it, as proof. Not of power. Because for the first time in more than 20 years, Christine wasn't somebody's wife. She wasn't a name hidden in a trust. She wasn't a signature copied. She was Christine Brown. And she had won.